Welcome back from the commercial break. We are still going on with the POLICON and with our guest, Honorable Abdallah Byakatonda, the Workers' Member of Parliament of the 11th Parliament of Uganda. And we continue to have a discussion, analytical view on a matter of issues that are pertaining with the economics of the country, and also looking at the legislative input, especially which deals with the politicians, and those are the policymakers in Parliament. We appreciate that you bring nearer the Parliament to the people through such program to deliberate on these matters that needs analytical review and input into the processes. In the first, session, we were looking at part of the justification that the government has, the Minister of Public Service, in support of rationalization of government agencies. And during last month, this was on an agenda, especially by one of the political party, the caucus, the NRM, and it was postponed, looking at a number of either issues or concerns that needs to be redressed. We are also very much concerned on whether the government policy to emerge, because it's still a proposal, it's a proposed policy to emerge parastatal boards, and whether it will drive to effective and efficient economic management. Honorable, we are in a bit testing time of when we don't know when the economy will stabilize to the benefit of all. I use that because I'm an advocate, as you are, for economic justice. We are in a time where we have been, some of us, including I believe yourself, urging the government to see what it can do in order to draw resources back from too much expenditure, huge public expenditure, and in aspiration for what some they call a lean government. A lean government with government agencies, a lean government even with the ministers, a lean government even with the members of parliament, a lean government even in terms of the created local governments. And the local governments where we don't have those which are constituencies, every other time one dreams like this, another day aspires it to be a district. And as we will go through it, you find that that district is not well facilitated, much as some they talk about creation of employment opportunities, which all of us will support, but you find that the output and the outcome of the creation of a district is much more taking the taxpayers' money, which would have developed a hospital, which would have developed a school, which would have developed a road. So the rationalization and the merger of parastatal boards, and equally with these political units and political offices, there is something that needs to be done. I appreciate what you've said, that something must be done in care, but yet we need again to consider the other side of the story. Whether by creating administrative units, as many agencies as many, will solve the poverty we have and unemployment we have. One would have gone to a school of thought and say, let's have this money, we put it in the Uganda Development Bank, and we facilitate the construction of industries, then we'll get jobs. We also have production capacity increased. But you may be having it in a different way. I will come here again to give us more insights.
Thank you, Joseph. You see, I have a challenge. Even when you are 100 people, but on the wrong side, and I'm one person on the right side, I will remain there. And I will stand by my word. I think that has been my challenge.
Yes.
And I will go by that. And the biggest challenge is that one, things are not done based on research, facts and figures. His Excellency normally talks of a Chivalo. But I think that Chivalo, by the technical people, was biased. And I think the other thing is there is intrigue. Subversion, distortions. So, when we want to handle issues properly, we need really proper research, do a proper analysis by the time we come up with a decision. Because now, let me look at a country as a business entity. You have trained the workforce, you have built infrastructure, you've established entities with good intentions, you have had partnerships, you have signed declarations. Then at the end of the day, you just wake up and say all this. I think we need to handle decisions on a one-by-one basis. Let's see. Actually, when they talk of 80, I see that I think
to reduce from 157.
These mergers can be around 20. And even then, when we are merging, when you talk of a merger, there are two components. It is a merger and acquisition. In handling this, you are looking at a setup of like a marriage. We are disengaging from here, but I think you are fixing this to another entity. So in terms of preparedness, so merger is from this entity, and then the others are acquiring. So are those entities even ready? That's, I can tell you.
I'm referring to some of them, they are here.
They are not. We will find that we are causing a lot of commotion, we are causing unemployment, we are causing a lot of psychological torture. We are reducing on the economies of scale.
Let me refer to this.
Yes.
We have Uganda Roads Fund. Again, we have Uganda UNRWA.
What are their roles?
So Uganda Roads Fund.
Yes.
And you know, you are our guest, and you are to educate us. That's where some of us did start a bit. We need information. Uganda Roads Fund, and we also have Uganda National Roads Authority.
Yes.
This is all related with roads. Should we really have such, and people get just salaries and they go home?
I think the other one is handling the funding component. Then the other one is actually doing the actual construction of the roads.
One question: are they part of the Minister of Finance? Why should they take a funding role?
Okay, there we can actually agree.
Yes,
and so I think we need to analyze. But what I'm saying, let's have a proper analysis.
Okay, sir.
Let's have a proper study. Let it take time. But then we are rushing, we are bound to make mistakes.
We go to another one.
Yes.
We look at the National Forest Authority, National Environment Management Authority. One asks a question. Yes. I'm asking on behalf of someone, as I'm trying to be objective in our discussion. Should we, all this is dealing with environmental matters, afforestation. That's how I understand environment.
Of course, National Management Authority is handling enforcement. These ones are handling forest reserves in trust of Ugandans. And they have the skills of actually ensuring that we do afforestation, they do innovation, and actually ensure that at least we meet the agenda, we meet the declaration of ensuring that Uganda, because you see, the country has gone into a number of commitments. One, they are saying, I think they are supposed to plant 2 million acres of trees, they are supposed to do this. So now, are these people having the capacity?
The capacity of the NEMA?
Capacity of NFA. Have we given them the capacity? Have we empowered them to do it? And when we do that, what do we get? I'm telling you, now like Tanzania, in the case of cashew nut, you are looking at other countries that are doing a number of things. They have gone into even ensuring that at least the increase on the acreage of such. Then this is even reducing on the debt burden, because at least the money is available. So I think we need critically to think and have a business acumen over these institutions, such that at least we shall see which one really requires. But when we discuss with you, they will say, I think Dr. Tinimwewa and Dr. Yakonda have been bribed.
Really? No, we are putting on double lenses and the good things.
But I must tell you, the approach as we are doing, it is a blind way, which is going to cause a lot of challenges. You see now, IMF came to Uganda. Uganda, structural adjustment program. Then we rushed into the things. That actually affected the economy.
What do you look at this if, for instance, we had the National Forest Authority, National Environment Management Authority, all of these are enforcement. Whenever you see the word authority, they said it means enforcement. And we create departments which will also, I'm trying to put double lenses, which will cater for of forest issues, national forest issues, reserves, and so forth, but it's a department. And one now goes to harmonize, to look at, to compare notes with the minister, that now we'll be having the executive director, if he's paid, let's say, also not that too much money, the 30 or 40 million, because it's another harmonization I would like you to comment about, make comment on. And we look at like whether it can be paid 15 million, and then those who are now at the directorate level, they are paid whether 5 million. And don't you think we'll save like the 10 million and the 10 million per month for a whole year? That's 100 million. It can buy, it can construct a school. What is your take?
What are the miracles these ministers are doing? Do they have the capacity they themselves? Because you are merging and the other one is acquiring. Are they ready? Of course, one of the key challenges that we have in the country is that one, we are lacking industrial harmony. Two, there is a lack of productivity. This is one of the key challenges. And of course, that's why government came up with that machinery and a number of other enabling laws. The acts, the Employment Act, the Workman Compensation, the Occupational Health, the Public Service, Consultative and Dispute Settlement Machinery, such that at least we can resolve conflict. You will find that even in terms of capacity, they are ill-facilitated, they are limping. Then in terms of operations, I think there is a challenge.
So your policy recommendation is saying they should be empowered,
yes,
be facilitated.
Yeah. And then let's handle case by case across the institutions. Yes. I'm not saying
that we rate it the way it should be.
They are all actually glittering and they are what.
Okay.
But I think you'll find that when we do a proper analysis, we might need to merge about 20 institutions.
Like 20.
But of course, the merger, then the acquisition. Like I'm telling you, you'll see that we talk of merger. Recently, I think there was a case of science and technology, that ministry.
Yes, sir.
Up to now, I think some of those workers are still languishing. They have never even known their fate, and they have remained unemployed. They're psychologically tortured. Their children have not gone to school, and nothing seems to be done. So when we do it, I think we need a proper study in terms of absorption capacity, in terms of handling the exercise. Who goes where, so that you actually know. And of course, like I said, I gave you the case of USA. They had to prepare about 5.5 billion and they ensure that at least everything is done. And it was actually just ensure that at least this skill should actually be put here. This one
you are drawing me to remember what happened. What happened when NADS, National Agriculture Advisory Service workers who were employed under the NADS Act referred as agriculture extension workers and the NADS coordinators.
Yes.
And 2014, that's when the NADS activities, the implementation of NADS activities, the way how the structure was suspended. And it left a number of our Ugandans indeed psychologically tortured. And one wonders, back to your role as registrators, not only you alone, what changes this? Can an act be changed by presidential decree to suspend a program activities? The NADS Act was not suspended, but the program activities, implementation of program activities was suspended, which involved in even having the human resource, the NADS coordinator and so forth, and were replaced without an amendment of parliament. The act wasn't amended. Do you think is that the right way of having an effective legal framework process in our country?
It isn't, because once an entity established by the constitution or by an act of parliament, due process must actually be done. And we need to do a lot of due diligence. This due diligence involves engaging the stakeholders, then doing a proper analysis of an entity. Of course, by so doing, you're even looking at the other side of it. Supposing how, a number of questions will come into mind. Supposing we use this entity to do this, can it actually do? You see, we need to rebrand and stand at the edge of, say, our competitors in the economic sense. Such that, because if you train these people, they have a lot of skills.
We're NADS coordinators, agriculture experts.
And I must say, we started seeing a lot of impact when NADS and Operation Risk Creation came into force. But they are not there. You see now what's happening. I think they have not been empowered. They have not been given a budget. I'm telling you now, the rains are there. Farmers are asking for seedlings. They're asking for seed. Nobody knows. Now you find that even as I talk now, even the few farmers who are growing, they even don't know how to spray basics. So why can't we really ensure that at least we look for mechanisms of absorbing all these technical experts, all these staffing levels? I think we must actually have a benchmark. The Asian tigers, I think why they've actually prospered. For them, they have first of all identified the human resource as one of the critical resources. But for us here, I think it is like a businessman who will tell you, I want to do business, but he even doesn't know the business, but goes to the bank, picks the money. By the time he thinks of the business, the money is over.
Honorable, we seem to be having another challenge, which I'd like you to address as you discuss, as you share with the viewers. What continues to affect us besides the failure to empower these institutions, I'll use the governance concept or terminology, the failure of to allow our country have independent institutions is also causing an economic implication. It has an economic implication. And on this, I'm referring to also something which is a query. If as we are analyzing this POLICON program, members of parliament seems to be overdriven by the position of the cabinet. Much as, yes, we know the development of policies, the cabinet generates, what is the government position, which is not a private member bill, but we should have critical analysis, which is supposed to be in really good governance, critical analysis based, as we said, on research by the legislature. And in the process of this, some of these imbalances have been not checked. I was here, 2014, I did a research on fiscal decentralization and agriculture extension services. My research was forwarded, published, and printed out a book, submitted to the minister, the Prime Minister's office. But the way how some of these, technical input, the researchers, now the legislatures, to brief now to cause the executive work seems to be lacking. NADS suspended workers. Under the NADS program, the president declared that NADS has been suspended and immediately suspended the element of the NADS coordinators, employed the UPDF officers. And this seems to continue and to continue. And one asks a question, why is the parliament not coming up, stand tall, and execute a governance, a mandate of being an independent institution that can check the executive to do the right things? And to add it up together, as you come in again, we look at the National Development Plan of number 2, was talking about how a minister should not double as a member of parliament, to bring in this independence to allow institutions work. What is your input into this if you were to rise up maybe taller than now to ensure that things can work better?
No, I think you are raising a very fundamental issue. But like I said, you see, to have a policy or a program, you must actually it must be based on research. You must actually have the key parameters. You must engage the stakeholders. Now, like on that paper that you are referring to.
The list of the agencies.
What is the justification there? These are just sweeping statements. We are being judgmental.
You are very right.
We are being
I see recommendation only. In the column, another one, I see agencies by sector, but I don't see a justification.
Like I told you now, the fortune companies globally, we're looking at financials. The Apple, Walmart, Microsoft. But then later they said, now, what is the other? Of course, when they did that, they realized that in terms of service delivery, there were gaps. And that's why they came up with now what we call the 360 evaluation. So when you do that, actually this one doesn't even add it 45% evaluation. When we go to the context of the balance scorecard.
After this, you talk about the question I posed concerning also the rationalization in terms of the independence of organs.
Yeah, of course. Now, you are giving a monkey to make judgment of the forest. What did you expect? I think to do that, you would have had a consultant, and it gives actually the pros and cons, and then actually we have. But now, I think that one actually didn't have commitment.
You don't have commitment.
Because if you had the commitment, then I think you needed an impartial body to do research on that. Then we can actually give the pros and cons. Then people can actually be, I think there is a point here. But if that was just a talk, like we meet.
Should we call for constitutional review commission?
Of course, now that it is not actually one of the issues that mandates the constitutional review commission, and nobody is interested. But if it was to have interest, then who are the stakeholders? Who was the competence to do it? And what do we benefit from it? Then I think it would be. Of course, we have had a number of things. The Same Power Commission on salary, I remember there was the white paper. It was actually the program known as the Gonahasa. All these are documents that are there. But of course, at times, they can say, maybe this one actually will have financial implication. Then it's abandoned. But in this one, we need really to have a thorough analysis. When we have a SAR analysis based on key parameters, then we can be able to make a very good decision. And the biggest challenge we have, that's what I've been telling you. Even in the Bible, you remember the 3 people whom the master gave money. One of them said, master, me have actually dug it into the soil. Then another one said, I've done business and made profit. Then they said, oh, you have made benefit. I mean, profit, I think you are the best. This is the same scenario. Our bureaucrats do not have business acumen. We don't think in terms of business sense. Okay? You will find that I think these are the challenges. Of course, now, in such an institution, no innovation. Me, what I'm looking at, let's have a district. I think one time I was on a committee of park.
Yes, sir.
And I think it was the district called the week where they came and said, oh, what a sky city. I said, oh, you are wonderful. I said, the idea of having a sky city is not a bad one, but I think you need just put methods. You know me, when I'm very simple to impress. When you tell me something which is founded and on facts, I will actually say, and that's what normally the president says, Ekivalo. Let's actually handle this thing and subject it to Ekivalo. You see now, I think this has been the challenge in a number of African countries. I think you'll find that, I don't know who is mining our oil, whether we are using actually foreigners or we have a stake, but I think the history has been that in a number of countries, we are very quick to get quick money. And then those people come and repatriate profits and they go away.
Let's have this together.
Yes.
You are supposed to help us, especially Parliament, to do this chibalo, the calculation.
Yes.
Before some of these decisions are taken, and the process calls for a certificate of no financial implication.
Yes.
And there are also other certificates that are supposed to be given. But before we came here, we were talking of the scenario which is happening of a poor calculation, which in quotes is called the chibalo, where the creation of these many districts was not being rationalized according to the numbers even stated in the local government, where the creation of cities and districts was not matching with the required number.
Yes.
And no one came to challenge this until those who tried in court. I don't know, there are those who either whether they won or they didn't win, but the issue is this subdivision of smaller units, and then finally you rank them at the same level with others which has huge population, seems to be causing inequalities, seems to be becoming ineffective and inefficient. One could say for a right chibaro, let me propose, instead of creating, you get Kabale, for instance, Kabale, which had around 4 counties. We had 4 counties. To divide it into 4 districts, 3 districts, one could say, give us 2 districts, and the money for another district, let us explore iron ore. What is your take on that?
I think that's
in 1 or 2 minutes.
I wish you could be a consultant. I think when we talk of bringing services nearer to the people, for us, what we look at in these new administrative units, we are looking at the obvious education, health, and what. But let's look at the component of money making. What is that the district can do to add the value?
Yes.
What are the available commodities? Where is the market?
The production capacity to increase.
Then we would actually be in business. For example, if Kabale is having milk, can we now can we now say the task is now to ensure that at least every district has 20 cooperatives
and an industry.
They are now adding value to the commodities. They are exporters. They must build the capacity of the people. Yes. But now we actually sit, and this was innovation. If we did that, then we would be in business, and we would have even reached the middle income status. We would even be donors. We would be at the level of Malaysia. We would be at the level of Korea. This is what people are doing. I think recently, we never used to see even a tile. We saw the tile, I think, is made by angels. But when I think it was General Salome went to Kapeka and made, Uganda has the potential even to make those things.
Tiles.
So why don't we look at what businesses can we do in these
different areas?
Yes. Can a district even produce a few things for themselves? Can they really engage into ensuring that at least, and now you can now see, because of mindset, I think you are seeing that they are now arresting leaders because they think the Paris development model is, I think, a reward.
Okay, we'll be going to that after this, break. How the arrests of those who are stealing money for Paris development model, and looking at also whether there is a need for harmonization of how that management, the management of that program should be effective and efficient. Stay tuned. This is a good evening for us as we look into the efficiency and effective governance we need for this country.